Hey guys, welcome to DIY Crafts. In this video, I am going to show you a step-by-step pattern of making this amigurumi carrot. So let's get started. For this, I am using a cotton 4-ply yarn and a crochet hook of size 3 mm. Now let's start by making the carrot sprout plant with the green color. Now begin with a slip knot by leaving a 3-inch tail end at the beginning and make chain 7. You can adjust this length according to your requirement. Now skip the first chain from the hook and make slip stitches throughout the chain. That means we will get a total of 6 slip stitches. And this forms the first carrot sprout for our amigurumi carrot. Now again make chain 6. Skip the first chain from the hook and from the second chain make slip stitches. That's the first one. 2, 3, 4 and 5. That's the second carrot sprout. Now make chain 7 again and follow the same procedure of skip the first stitch and continue to make slip stitches throughout the chain. For this video purpose, I am stopping it here. If needed, you can increase this up to 5 sprouts by following a similar pattern. Now after completing all the sprouts, make a slip stitch into the base of the first stitch. Now chain 1 and trim the thread by leaving a 3-inch long tail end. We are going to use these tail ends to attach it to the top of our carrot. Now put this aside and let's start making the base of a carrot. Now let's begin with the magic ring. Now make chain 1 and let's start making the first row. Adjust the loop. Now make 6 single crochet stitches into the center. That's the first one. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now close the magic ring and this forms the first row. Now insert the hook into the first stitch and then make 2 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. My stitches are too tight, so it's making a little bit difficult for me to insert the hook. So that's the first increase and this is the beginning of our second row. Now put a stitch marker into the first stitch to mark the beginning of our second row, and this stitch marker acts as a reference for us for each and every row. Now into the next stitch, make a single crochet increase, that is 2 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. Now continue this pattern of making increases in each and every row throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Now here I am making the last increase of the second row, and this completes your second row with 12 single crochet stitches. Now remove the stitch marker and into that stitch make 1 single crochet stitch. Now put the stitch marker into the same place and this marks the beginning of our third row. Now into the next stitch make an increase. Again continue the pattern of 1 single crochet stitch and 1 single crochet increase. Again 1 single crochet stitch and 1 increase. Continue this pattern throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Now making the last increase of the third row, and this completes your row with 18 single crochet stitches. Now into the first stitch make one single crochet stitch and put the stitch marker back in its place. Now into the next stitch make another single crochet. So we have a total of 2 single crochet stitches at the beginning, and into the next stitch make an increase. Again 2 single crochet stitches, and into the next stitch make an increase. Now continue this pattern of 2 single stitches and 1 increase throughout the row. Now into the last stitch I am making the increase. Now remove the stitch marker, and this completes your 4th row with 24 single crochet stitches. Now make one single crochet stitch and put the stitch marker back in place. Then make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row. For this row we are not making any increases. For the 5th round we are making only one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch. So after completing the round, remove the stitch marker and make one single crochet stitch in that stitch and put the stitch marker back in place. Let's start making row 6. We have 3 single crochet stitches, 1 into the stitch marker and then 2 single crochet stitches. Then make one increase. Again 3 single crochet stitches, that's the second one, and this is the third one. Now into the next stitch make a single crochet increase. So repeat this pattern of 3 single crochet stitches and 1 increase throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Here I am making the last increase of row 6, and this completes your 6th row with 30 single crochet stitches. Now stop your work here to attach the carrot sprout on the top of our carrot. Now with the help of a tapestry needle, we are going to insert these tail ends onto the top of a carrot as shown. Meanwhile, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe and click on the bell icon to receive the notifications for my latest videos. And the written pattern for this amigurumi carrot is given in the description, do check it out. Now after inserting the tail ends, secure them by making a few knots, and I am not trimming those excess threads as it helps as a part of a stuffing, so just leave them. Just make a small knot so they don't come your way of crocheting. Now let's continue with the pattern. Remove the stitch marker, and now we are going to start row 7. Adjust the loop. Now make one single crochet stitch into the first stitch and mark the beginning of the 7th row. Now continue to make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row. And we are going to repeat this pattern of one single stitch for rows 8 to 10 also, which means in each row we will have 30 single crochet stitches. So now I have done the last single crochet stitch of 10th row, and this is how the shape of a carrot looks like after making 10 rows. Now remove the stitch marker and let's continue making the 11th row. Now into the first stitch make one single crochet stitch and put the stitch marker back in its place. Now into the next 3 stitches make one single crochet stitch in each stitch, which means we will have a total of 4 single crochet stitches. Now make an invisible decrease into the next 2 stitches. Insert the hook into the front loops of next 2 stitches, drop a loop and make a single stitch. That's the invisible decrease. Again make 4 single crochet stitches. Now we are going to repeat this pattern of 4 single stitch, decrease and 4 single stitch, which means we will have a continuous 8 single crochet stitches. Then we have a decrease. Again we will have another 8 single crochet stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last set. 1, 2, 3, 4. So total 8 single stitches. Then one invisible decrease again, and now making the last 4 single stitches. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. I hope you understood this row. If not, just replay this part. Here is where we are going to start decreasing the carrot pattern. Now remove the stitch marker and make one single crochet stitch for the 12th row. Put the stitch marker back in its place. Now make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point. And we are going to make one single crochet stitch for rows 13 and 14 as well. So in each row we will have a total of 27 single crochet stitches. After making the last stitch of 14th row, remove the stitch marker, make one single crochet stitch into the first stitch, and then put the stitch marker back in place to mark the beginning of 15th row. Now make 7 single crochet stitches. That's the 4th one, 5, 6 and 7. Now into the next 2 stitches we have an invisible decrease. Insert the hook into the front loops, drop a loop and make a single stitch. So repeat this pattern of 7 single crochet stitches and 1 decrease for 2 more times. Here making the last invisible decrease of 15th row, and this completes your 15th row with 24 single crochet stitches. Now remove the stitch marker and make one single stitch into the first stitch and mark the beginning of 16th row with the stitch marker. Continue to make one single stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row, and repeat this pattern of one single stitch for row 17 as well. Just one single stitch in each and every stitch. So by the end of the 17th row we will have 24 stitches in row 16 and row 17 as well. Now stop your work here and let's add some stuffing into the carrot. For this project we will add stuffing at regular intervals to ensure proper filling without any lumps. So take a good amount of fiber fill and stuff it into the toy, and ensure you are not overstuffing it. Now adjust the stuffing, and now let's continue with the pattern. Remove the stitch marker and let's start making 18th row. Adjust the loop, and now into the first stitch make one single stitch. Now into the next 2 stitches as well make one single stitch. Now put the stitch marker back in its place to mark the beginning of 18th row. That's one single stitch. And now the second one, and then the third one. After making 3 single crochet stitches, we have one invisible decrease. Again make 3 single crochet stitches. That's 1, 2 and 3. Now we are going to repeat this pattern of 3 single crochet stitches, 1 invisible decrease and 3 single crochet stitches throughout the row. Watch it carefully. That's 1, 2, 3. 3 single crochets, and then we have one invisible decrease. Now continue with the pattern of another 3 single crochet stitches and making the last single crochet stitch of 18th row. And this completes this row with 21 single crochet stitches. Now remove the stitch marker, make one single stitch into that stitch and mark the beginning of 19th row. Make one single stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row for row 19 and row 20, which means we'll have 21 stitches in row 19 and 21 stitches in row 20. Now after completing 20th row, remove the stitch marker and let's start making row 21. Begin with a single stitch, put the stitch marker back in its place. That's one single stitch. Now continue to make single stitches. That's the second one. 3, 4 and 5. After making 5 single stitches, we have to do one invisible decrease. Now repeat this pattern of 5 single crochet stitches and 1 decrease. That's 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then 1 invisible decrease. Now do this pattern one more time. 5 single stitches and 1 decrease. After completing this row, we'll have 18 stitches. Now for row 22, remove the stitch marker and begin with single stitch and make 1 single crochet stitch in each and every stitch for row 22, 23 and 24. So for the next 3 rows, we are going to make just 1 single stitch in each and every stitch. And in each row, we will have 18 single crochet stitches. Now after completing the last single stitch of row 24, stop it here to add stuffing to the carrot. Again, take a good amount of fiber fill and stuff it into the toy. Amigurumi toys take a perfect shape when stuffing is done properly. So pay a little attention while stuffing the toys without making it overstuffed. Now adjust the stuffing a little bit and let's continue with the pattern. Remove the stitch marker and let's start making row 25. Now into the first stitch, make 1 single stitch and now into the next stitch make another single stitch, which means we have done 2 single crochet stitches in our row 25. Now put the stitch marker back into the first single stitch. Now make 1 invisible decrease. Again make 2 single crochet stitches. That's 1 and 2. Now we are going to repeat this pattern of 2 single stitch, 1 decrease and 2 single stitch. Repeat this pattern for 2 more times throughout the row until you reach the starting point. So just watch it carefully. That's 1 and 2. 2 single stitch followed by 1 decrease. That's an invisible decrease. Again 2 single stitch. Now we are going to do this one more time and making the last single stitch, and this completes your 25th row with 15 single stitches. Now for the 26th row, repeat the same procedure and then make 1 single crochet stitch in each and every stitch for row 26 and 27, which means we will have 15 stitches in both the rows. Now after making the last single crochet stitch of row 27, remove the stitch marker and let's start making row 28. Make 1 single stitch, put the stitch marker back in its place to mark the beginning of 28th row. Then 2 more single stitches, that means a total of 3 single stitches. Then make 1 invisible decrease. Now we are going to repeat this pattern. 3 single stitches, that's 1, 2 and 3. And then make 1 invisible decrease. One more time. That's 1, 2 and 3 single crochet stitches. And then we have one invisible decrease. So this completes your 28th row, and we will have 12 single crochet stitches in this row. You can look the shape of a carrot. It's not final yet. We will adjust all the stuffings by the end of the project. Now remove the stitch marker and let's start making 29th row. Make one single stitch and put the stitch marker back in its place. Now make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row for row 29, and repeat the same pattern of one single stitch for row 30 as well. So we will have 12 single stitches in row 29 and row 30. Now after making the last few stitches of row 30, this is how the carrot looks like. And now remove the stitch marker and let's add stuffing to the toy. Carefully insert the stuffing into the toy, and if needed you can take the help of a larger hooks and poke the stuffing into the toy. Now let's continue with the pattern, and now we are going to make row 31. As we have already removed the stitch marker, we are going to continue. Make one single crochet stitch into the next stitch and put the stitch marker, and this marks the beginning of 31st row. Now make one invisible decrease, then one single stitch, and repeat this pattern of one single stitch, decrease, followed by one single stitch. And we have the last set. So one single stitch, one invisible decrease, and one single stitch. And this completes your 31st row with 9 single crochet stitches. Remove the stitch marker and make one single crochet stitch into the next stitch. Put the stitch marker back in place to mark the beginning of 32nd row. Then make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch until you reach the starting point. And we are going to make the same pattern of one single stitch for row 33 as well. After making both the rows with 9 stitches in each row, remove the stitch marker and you can add a little bit of stuffing to the tip of the carrot, and here is where you will really need the help of a larger hook to poke the stuffing into the carrot. Now let's continue with the pattern and make the last row for our amigurumi carrot. Begin with one single stitch and now put the stitch marker and then make one invisible decrease. So repeat this pattern, one single stitch followed by one invisible decrease. One more time, make one single stitch and then the last invisible decrease. Now remove the stitch marker, and this completes your 34th row with 6 single stitches. Into the next stitch, make a slip stitch, chain 1 and trim the excess thread by leaving a little long tail end to weave in the ends. Now fasten off, and now with the help of a tapestry needle we are going to close the opening of the carrot. It's so soft and so fluffy. Now with the help of a tapestry needle we are going to close this project. Insert the needle through the front loops of all the stitches in your last row, and now into the first stitch make a knot by pulling the tail end tightly to close the opening. Make another knot to secure the closing, and now insert the needle through the center and weave in the yarn for multiple times, like 2 to 3 times, to secure this weave in. Do not pull it too tight, as it will ruin the shape of the carrot. Just pass the needle through the carrot for few times and then trim the excess thread close to the project so it will hide. And that's it. Your cute amigurumi carrot is ready. You can adjust the stuffing by rolling the carrot in between your palms or just leave it as it is. Here you can see the difference of having 5 carrot sprout and 3 carrot sprout. Do you like them? Please share your opinion in the comments section below. I hope you all enjoyed watching this tutorial. Do give this pattern a try and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. For more such interesting videos, do subscribe to DIY Crafts. Make sure you follow me on other social media platforms and all the links are shared in the description. See you all in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share it and subscribe to DIY Crafts.